Welcome to VLearn. This is session 5 of ASP Dot Net. Today we are going to cover different topics like web server controls, intrinsic controls, list control, checkbox list and radio button list control. Rich controls we are going to cover. Then we will discuss about the validation controls. Right? So with this, the first topic of today's session is web server controls. Web controls basically represents a consistent object model in which we make use of some controls like label 1 dot back color is equal to color dot red, table dot back color is equal to color dot blue. All the web server controls basically offers a richer functionality. Richer functionality means additional method is that auto post back. Web server controls also supports automatic up level down level support is provided by the validation control. Another feature of the web server control is that it strongly type controls which supports the strong type checking with respect to the web controls and enables the better compiler type checking. Web server controls appear in HTML markup as namespace tag. Means normal HTML tags are treated as a namespace tag in the web server controls. Web controls have an ASP colon prefix. ASP colon button on click is equal to button 1 click run at is equal to server. ASP text box on changed is equal to text 1 changed run at is equal to server. These are the coding that are supported when we make use of the different web controls. It is defined in the system.web.ui.webcontrol namespace. This namespace is automatically mapped to the ASP prefix. Right? Web server controls provide extensive properties to control display and format. For example, font, back color, forecolor, border style, border width, style, cascade, class, height, width, visible, enabled. All these are the properties that are extensively supported by web server controls. So by making use of these properties, we can make the web page very attractive, very stylish, with extensive features. Now the whole web server controls are partitioned into different categories, and accordingly there are 4 types of web controls. The first one is intrinsic control, second is list control, third is rich controls, and the next one is validation controls. Intrinsic controls corresponds to the HTML control. When we talk about the intrinsic control, so basically we are talking about the HTML controls. And the supported controls are ASP colon button, ASP colon image button, ASP colon link button, ASP colon hyperlink, ASP colon text box, ASP colon checkbox, ASP colon radio button, ASP colon image, ASP label, ASP panel, ASP table. Text box, list control, checkbox and their subclasses don't automatically do a post back when their controls are changed. ये वो controls हैं that is list box, text box, check box जो automatically post back नहीं support करते हैं when their controls are changed. Specify Auto postback is true to make change events cause a postback, right? Now, further we are going to discuss about the list control. List control that handles the repetition. Sometime in the database or in the normal interface, we are having such a data which involves the repetition. Means repetition is bound to happen. So in that particular situation, the supported controls are ASP colon drop down list, ASP colon list box, ASP colon radio button, ASP colon checkbox list, ASP colon repeater, ASP colon data list, ASP colon data grid. All these are the supported controls which are highly supported. Repeater, data list, and data grid controls. These are the list controls which are powerful and customizable list control. They expose the template for customization. Apart from this, list controls can contain other controls also. List control provide event bubbling through their on item command event. Now, checkbox list and radio button list. Checkbox list provides a collection of checkbox or radio button controls. It can be populated via data binding. Is that ASP colon checkbox list ID is equal to check1 run at is equal to server. Here we are going to discuss that how these checkbox list and radio button list controls can be used. Next coding is ASP colon list item tag close item 1 new tag of ASP list item ASP list item 2 tag close ASP list item 3 tag close ASP list item 4 tag close ASP list item 5 tag close. So all these lists are the part of checkbox. So checkbox tag is also going to be closed with the help of slash ASP colon checkbox list. Now let us talk about the rich control. Rich controls are the control which supports custom controls with rich functionality. And the examples are like ASP colon calendar, ASP colon add rotator. So calendar and add rotator are the rich controls which support some additional functionality to the web page. Validation controls are rich and declarative. Validation declared separately from input controls. Basically, validation controls are used to provide validation on the basis of some user specification or some predefined values. Suppose a user is permitted to enter only positive values, and to ensure this we have used validation control. So validation control will basically ensure that no negative or zero values can be input. The validation criteria will check it out at their own end whether the applied validation is applied or not, it is being supported or not. So basically validation controls a very important role in applying the validation over the web pages. And validation declared separately from the input control. Input control is basically responsible for getting the data from the user, and the medium and the source, or the source can be anything. But validation is implemented or declared separately. So extensive Extensible validation framework is supported in ASP.NET. Validation controls Validation control supports validation on client and server both. Client side से data send होगा. It will be verified and validated by server. So validation controls supports validation at both sides, on client side as well as on server side. Validation control also automatically detects up level clients and avoids round trip for up level clients. Server side validation is also supported by validation controls as it prevents the users from spoofing web form. सर्वर साइड वैलिडेशन अप्लाई करने से यूजर्स जो स्पूफिंग अप्लाई करते हैं वेब फॉर्म के ऊपर उसको अवॉइड किया जा सकता है, उसको रिड्यूस किया जा सकता है. स्पूफिंग को रिड्यूस करने के लिए हमें वैलिडेशन कंट्रोल्स की हेल्प लेनी पड़ती है. वैलिडेशन कंट्रोल्स ASP: required field validator. It ensures that a value is entered. So now basically we are going to discuss different validation controls and the meaning of each and every control. So ASP: required field validator control is basically used for ensuring that a value is entered. Another is ASP: range validator. It ensures and checks if the value is within minimum and maximum values. ASP: compare validator. It means it compares values against constant, another control or data type. ASP: regular expression validator. It tests if the value matches a predefined pattern or not. तो रेगुलर एक्सप्रेशन वैलिडेटर की हेल्प से यू कैन मैच अ प्री डिफाइंड पैटर्न विद दैट ऑफ द करंट वन. ASP: custom validator. It lets you create custom client or server side validation function. ASP: validations summary. It displays the list of validation errors in one place. Validation controls are basically derived from system.web.userinterface or UI.webcontrols.base validator. So all the validation controls are derived from this particular control, which is derived from the label control. Validation control contains text which is displayed only if validation fails. Text property is displayed at control location. Error message is displayed in summary. When we use the validation control, sometimes we have to display the error messages. So error message is displayed in summary. Validation controls are associated with their target control using the control to validate property. कंट्रोल टू वैलिडेट प्रॉपर्टी को यूज़ करके वैलिडेशन कंट्रोल्स उनके टारगेट कंट्रोल से जुड़े हुए होते हैं. लाइक ASP: text box ID is equal to text box 1 run at is equal to server. ASP: required field validator ID is equal to required 1. Control to validate is equal to text box 1. Text is equal to required field. Run at is equal to server. It can create multiple validation controls with the same target control. Validation control includes page.isValidate. IsValid indicates if all the validation controls on the page succeed. So void submit underscore click, S as object, E as event arguments. If page.isValid, then message.text is equal to page is valid, and if and ends up. So this is the code snippet that we have covered to write the code in the ASP.NET. Validation control display property controls layout like static, fixed layout, display won't change if invalid. If the property set is dynamic, it means dynamically layout changes. None means no display is there. Validation summary and page is validate. These type properties specify expected data types like currency, date, double, integer, string. Validation controls, it can force down or it can force down level option only at the server side validation. At the rate page language is equal to say hash. At the rate page language is equal to C hash. Client target is equal to down level. And modulus symbol close, tag close. So before we end, there is a do it yourself exercise for you. The first question of do it yourself exercise is that you have to give an example of the compare validator. Another question is explain range validator. So with this we are going to finish this session. Thank you.